All right, let me give you an intro while you're doing that.
Okay.
So Val, right now we are talking to you, and I have another couple of people saying they're trying to get on, so we'll give them, they'll come on as we are in progress. But am glad. Oh, I'm jealous. I want. What one is that, Eliza?
Oh, it's the spinach apple.
Yes, I love that one. Okay.
Whenever I have like lots of cravings going on, I know it's a juice day, and I'll like go and juice and cleanse my system.
Okay. Well,
and create some control in my life because I have issues with control, so I like to find ways to create control. I mean, you can call it healthy, unhealthy. It could be spun either way. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm going to call it healthy because that. Yeah. So, Eliza is an amazing nurse practitioner. She has been in the area of healing for how many years?
I have worked in ICU for 13 years.
13 years, and I've had the pleasure of being able to do both business and pleasure with her. And in that time, I learned that beyond being an amazing nurse practitioner, she is also an essential oil badass. That is my personal title for her.
Thank you.
I got to know her very intimately in the back of her truck.
That sounds bad.
It sounds bad, but it's so true. I got glass stuck in the bottom of my foot, and everyone in my world, no one could get it out. And I put a help, SOS on Facebook, and she said, "Girl, I'll see you at pickup." Our kids go to school together and drop off line. So I crawled in the back of her truck and pulled my skirt up, and she was able to put some essential oils on the place where the glass was and extract all of the glass out. And it was just really an amazing experience. And I was like, what is this stuff that you have in your kit? And that's when I began to learn about it. But for me, what became even more intriguing is that I work with clients who have different emotional challenges, depression, anxiety, really just trying to get their stuff together. And Eliza said, "Hey, do you know that essential oils have been indicated and scientifically proven to be able to help with that?" And I was like, get the heck out of here, because I have so many folks that want to be off medicine and that want to try holistic efforts. And so she said yes. And she, I think probably that day or the next day, gave me a whole little kit that I handed off to a client that had been prescribed all kinds of meds, and she started using them, never got her prescription filled. And we've been rocking and rolling ever since. So as I have folks that are coming to me just wanting all kinds of emotional healing, I go to Eliza and she basically hooks my people up. So we're doing these monthly get-togethers so that we can kind of learn about, hi there, that's my auntie.
Hi.
That's my Auntie Barb. Hi, Auntie Barb. So just really happy to have Eliza sharing this with us, because it's so much great information and how we can come together and connect using essential oils in ways that we perhaps had not thought of before. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce you all to my aunt's on the phone, so I can't say any more bad words, to my personal, hot thing, Eliza.
Thank you. That's an amazing introduction. Well, and I will go through my story and tell you a little bit more about me kind of in my presentation. So I'm actually going to share my screen. You guys are going to be able to see my computer screen. And we're just going to pull up a short little PowerPoint that I did. I don't like to overwhelm you death by PowerPoint, so it has very few words on it. So don't worry. Just give me a second while I'm kind of getting this pulled up. Sometimes it takes a minute. And I promise we'll start from the beginning, not from the middle. And then we'll dive in. But yeah, I like to talk about my story and kind of introduce why I'm here and why I do what I do. As people join on, I'll just always remind everybody to kind of mute themselves. Let's see if I can get back actually to the beginning here. It's kind of, Zoom is kind of interesting. So are the PowerPoints. And we will try and make this. Let's do this really quick. Sorry, it always takes me a minute to get going. I like to do just one view. There we go. Okay. So I titled this Learn How to Connect More with Essential Oils. And you'll see me refer to at the end, I'll link you to my website and to my YouTube channel. And I will encourage you, if this topic appeals to you a little bit from the emotional standpoint, to go to my YouTube page. I have a little bit of over an hour long webinar that I did on using essential oils for emotions. And that really is where I tell people to go to kind of get your basic information on how to use essential oils for emotions. We can use essential oils for so many different things in our lives, medicinally, for cleaning our home non-toxically, just to make things smell good and uplift our mood. But really, emotions is a really, really, really big part of how I use oils in my home and for my family. So I titled this Learn How to Connect More with Essential Oils. Again, my name's Eliza Bacote. I am trained academically as a nurse and a nurse practitioner. My specific degree was in acute care, so I have worked in modern medicine for the last 13 years and have really been just really focused on wellness for the last 8 years of my life, and really living this kind of healthy, wellness-based lifestyle related to food, physicality, and really didn't consider some of the products that I used in my home until about 4 years ago when actually my graduate school instructor from Emory introduced me to essential oils, which is kind of cool. But was really focused on the human body in the facet of, how can I prescribe them a pharmaceutical agent in the ICU to solve this problem that they're having, really not getting to the root issue of this. So really a big part of my identity and what I have done has been working in the medical field. Have found some just disappointments with that over the last few years, and was slowly getting to a place where I was just not feeling fulfilled because I really didn't feel like I was helping the people that I was treating in the hospital. I'm like, wow, I'm just really not getting to the root cause of what their problem is, and was really living kind of a double lifestyle. I was just really into wellness and researching wellness in my lifestyle, and then kind of going to work and just putting medical band-aids on people, and unfortunately watching a lot of people die. And it became emotionally, spiritually, and physically draining for me. And so I started to love essential oils and started to share them with my friends and family. And I just had this burning desire inside of me, like, everybody has to have these. I can use these for so many different things in my home, and I want to share that with other people. And so, but I really didn't tap into the business side of it until a little bit over a year ago. And I had actually created the domain, The Organic South, many years ago to write and blog about food and where to find local sources of clean, healthy food. And so the Organic South was kind of reborn last year when I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave medicine full time and I'm going to create a wellness business. So I did that last year, and I left my job in the hospital in January of this year. And for the greater part of this year, I have been doing full-time wellness-based medicine. In-home detox consultations, personal health coaching, and lots and lots and lots of classes all around the Southeast and internationally now, I can say, on essential oils. We just got back from Costa Rica taking a lot of classes down there. And do me a favor, guys, if you're just joining, go ahead and mute yourselves. Just that way it helps us not have any background noise while we're doing the presentation. So try and go in there and mute yourself if you can. But so that's my story. I do have a family. I'm a mother and wife. I have 2 young children that are 4 and 2. So a lot of my connection with oils emotionally is how to manage the daily stresses and the ups and downs of having 2 young children and all the challenges and wonderful things that presents. But really my connection with oils emotionally was birthed in the stress of in the ICU. And I started wearing oils around my neck. And the nurses were the ones that alerted me to the fact that, we always know when you're about to kind of pop off because you start to smell your necklace and you hold it up to your nose. And so it's like, wow, because it does make me feel better. So I'm very, very passionate now about using not only my previous understanding of the human body to connect with just really teaching people now in this day and age about how you can use smells and how you can use these powerful tools called essential oils to actually improve your emotions, to improve your health, and to connect emotionally. So that's my story. And today we're really going to dive into, this is about connection. And Heidi's kind of had a theme this month in her coaching world as far as connection. And she sent me a text on something in one of the books that we both read about essential oils. And she was like, wow, this is cool. I was like, yes, that's cool. We should dive into this topic more. So I was excited to really dive into some of the research that I found about how to connect emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. So that's what we're going to be specifically talking about today. And we'll start off just at the very basic place of what are essential oils. And a lot of people, including myself, didn't know what they were. I didn't learn about this in any of the 6+ years of training that I ever had. I learned all about medicines and how they worked in the human body, but I didn't really understand anything about essential oils. I just thought, well, they're really expensive perfumes. And so this is a picture of an essential oil sac on a lavender plant. You'll see the thistly hairs there that protect the essential oil. And it's housed in little sacks on the flower of the plant. So essential oils are actually various compounds, various chemical compounds that every plant has that actually function as the immune system of the plant. So yes, they are the aromatic compound of the plant. So when you rub a peppermint leaf, you're breaking those little sacks, and what you're smelling on your finger is actually the essential oil from the plant. And so it's the aromatic compound. It's found on the bark of trees, stems, leaves, flowers, and roots of various plants. But what a lot of people don't realize about essential oils is that they contain various chemical compounds that actually function in our body in medicinal ways to help us not only combat issues that we may be having, but as you're going to find here in a second, but scientifically can uplift our mood and change our behavior even based on what we smell. So they're very, very powerful tools. And I always go back to the root basis of it. Like, God put plants all over this earth to heal our bodies, and our bodies were made to heal themselves. And so when we give them the right environment, we can heal our brains, we can heal our emotions, we can heal our physical selves, and we can use plants to do that. And what I tell people, though, is because of steam distillation that we've had the last 100 of years, we're able to extract the most powerful component of the plant. So remember this, when we talk about essential oils, we're going to talk about doses, and doses are usually 1 to 3 drops. Depending on which brand you use. Some of the brand that I use, you can use internally. But if you're using a different type of brand, I always recommend for safety, you only use it topically and aromatically. But they are 50 to 70 times more potent than their corresponding herbs. Okay, so a bottle of essential oil is a very, very potent powerhouse tool. So you're never going to be using half the bottle. You're always going to be using just a few drops. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too. So that is what an essential oil is. I hope that clears up any misunderstanding. I know I had misunderstandings about it. So now let's dive into this, since we're talking about connection in the brain, and this is super important. So how do they work in the brain? Okay, so this is in the beginning when I used to read different, labels on the essential oils, and I was like, oh, okay, cute. Immune supporting properties. How scientifically does that happen? Okay, mood uplifting properties. How does this change my mood and how I feel? So we actually receive the oils because they're volatile. They're not actually oily. They readily absorb into our skin, and when we inhale them, they readily absorb into our nasal passages. And you'll see here the olfactory cleft and the olfactory bulb. That's a grouping of nerve endings in the very top of our nose. So when we actually receive those smells, it's actually getting to that part of the nerve there that actually helps us interpret smells. And then actually that olfactory bulb, you'll see it right here at the bottom of the brain, is actually directly connected to the limbic system. And the limbic system is a grouping of structures in our brain. We're going to get a little sciencey here, okay? So bear with me. But is a grouping, and do me a favor, if you just joined by phone, just go ahead and mute yourself just so we don't have any background noise. Thank you so much. It's a grouping of structures in the brain that actually are called our emotional brain. So that's our limbic system. And so how do all these actual structures work in our brain? We're going to go through really briefly. So if science is not your thing, like I said, just hang with me. It's going to get good. So the amygdala down there at the bottom, it helps connect our emotions to behavior. It's also where we store trauma. Okay. So that's why you'll see a lot of things about essential oils and connecting to trauma or connecting to emotions that you had and releasing those. So it also helps us recognize emotions, and it's our emotional learning memory. Okay. The hippocampus right next to that helps convert our short-term memory into long-term memory. This is actually the first place in the brain that's damaged in Alzheimer's disease. And it has a huge, huge impact in learning. Okay, this is our factual memory. The thalamus, I always tell people to think of the thalamus like your switchboard, right? So it's receiving all this sensory input and sending it out to different places in the brain. The hypothalamus, which is right there, right to the thalamus, this is our big command center. Okay, it's the busiest part of our brain. It regulates so many different things: breathing, your pulse, your blood pressure, hunger, thirst, pain, sleep, pleasure, all these things that we go through cycles of throughout the day, right? It has the ability to secrete hormones, but the main structure that secretes hormones is the pituitary, which is right next to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus also helps us control our behavior, happiness, sadness. Okay, so this is a big part of our brain. Do me a favor, guys. Please mute yourself, okay, if you just joined, just so we don't have any background noise. So hypothalamus is a big part of that, what we call the command center, right? So all these structures, very, very important. And you see that prefrontal cortex. That's where a lot of our learning takes place, okay? And that's going to be important when we talk about connecting mentally. So you can see here that, guess what? Because of that connection to the olfactory bulb there, that our sense of smell has the greatest ability to impact our mood, emotions, and feeling connected more than any other sense that we have. So sense of smell is extremely important. Okay, so why is feeling connected important? So we're going to dive into connection. And there's some really, really cool information out there about feeling connected. So spiritual connection. And it doesn't really matter how you connect spiritually. And I say that in the sense of what you believe, as long as you believe something. That's research, that people that are spiritually connected, that have a daily practice of either meditating, studying, something like that, actually have longer lifespans. And there's a great book out there called The Blue Zones that talks a lot about longevity, and that was a common theme. And that book was people that are spiritually connected were found to have longer lifespans. So it does something to us to be spiritually connected. It's proven scientifically to decrease our stress, to improve the function of our immune system, and to improve, like I said, longevity. Okay, emotionally connected. This is so huge and so important. And this is an entire webinar all on its own. Like I said, go back to my YouTube channel on theorganicsouth.com and you can find a whole webinar on how to use oils for emotions. So emotionally connected is a big deal, and we'll spend some time on this, right? So it's so important to feel your emotions fully, not bottle them up, to have awareness of them and to add validity to them, right? Super important. Instead of bottling them, we explore them. Why is that feeling there? When you don't feel an emotion, avoidance becomes a big problem. And when you start to have avoidance, then that actually affects your behavior, right? So if you, let's say, for example, you don't want to feel inferior, then you are going to practice the behavior of not accepting criticism very well, right? That can be bad for you because then you never change and you're never able to hear crucial feedback about yourself potentially, right? So emotional connection to our feelings, to just any sort of awareness of a feeling that we have is extremely important. Mental connection, mentally. Now, this is like kind of surface and deeper, right? So surface is kind of like our connection, our thoughts, Deeper would be our beliefs, our desires, our intellect, our values, our goals. We all have a desire to achieve things in life. I don't care if you're considered like a type B, the most laid back person, you still have something that drives you within you to achieve certain things, right? This is why we all set goals and intentions in our life. So the mental part of our mind really connects us to our linear thought, right? Our focus, our learnability, it's our true ability to learn and grow is about mental connection. And there is a break in flow if you are mentally connected, but you're not spiritually connected, because then you will make all of your decisions out of your head and you will never connect kind of with your core, your center, your heart, your spiritual. And so the mental connection piece is, what we always encourage people when you're also connecting mentally is, to seek coaching. That's a big deal, right? To seek education. This is a great way to connect mentally to yourself. And then physical connection. This is a big deal, right? And this is not just about like that I'm very aware of my body and I'm very physically connected to my body, that I pay attention to certain physical things that I feel and I explore that, and I make sure if it's something that's a negative physical feeling, then I figure out why and I alleviate that. If it's a positive physical feeling, that I have positive feedback loops and I go towards that more and more and more, right? This is our touch, our sensations. And if you have trouble connecting physically, this is the area related, sexually that you will struggle with, especially if you have sexual trauma in your life, trying to figure out why you can't get physically connected or how you can actually overcome that and become more physically connected. So those are really the 4 topics we're going to talk about related to connection and how we use oils to improve this connection. So I think that we've already kind of beat that home, that feeling connected on all of those 4 levels, that is the key to living well, right? And that's the point in wellness. Heidi does so much of this through her coaching and emotional healing, right? And I do more of this on the side of the physical, the just cleansing your life of toxic products, right, in the physical realm. But it's so important for you guys to be connected in every area to yourself, okay? This is when we talk about the wheel of wellness, this is a big, big deal. So if you don't feel that spiritual connection is a place that you are thriving in, essential oils can actually help you with this. Now, this goes back to that daily practice, right? Whether it be meditation, and this does not matter how you connect spiritually. It doesn't matter, that could be religion for you, but spiritual connection doesn't have to be religion. Some people go into nature to feel God. And I don't care what you call God or what you believe He is. We all believe, usually, if you're not an atheist, that there is a higher power in the universe that controls and orchestrates things, and that we need to feel connected to. So what's very interesting about these 3 oils, specifically the Hawaiian sandalwood and the frankincense, many of you have heard of frankincense, and it's very well known in the biblical world as being brought to baby Jesus. And ironically, we think it's a perfume, but frankincense is actually one of the most well-versed, multi-use healing oils out there. But what's really interesting about Hawaiian sandalwood and other sandalwoods and frankincense is that they have decent amounts of a chemical compound called sesquiterpenes. And those actually have the ability to cross our blood-brain barrier. This is super powerful because we can't even get many medications. The majority of medications cannot do that. And that's why people that have brain cancers are so difficult to treat, right? We have to give them radiation. And so these 2 oils have very, very powerful chemical compounds that actually are, believe this or not, sedating, and actually are calming. And so what this actually allows you to do, and I always encourage people to use these in yoga practice too. If you do a lot of mindfulness meditation during yoga practice, this can deepen that meditation, deepen that relaxation. And guess what happens when we're in that relaxation place? We are actually open to spiritual connection, and we're open to hearing things that maybe in our busy kind of stimulated environment, we would never hear or pay attention to, right? Those things that we feel in our heart, those thoughts that we feel that we know don't come from us, that come from our spirituality. And so what I love to tell people to do with Hawaiian sandalwood or frankincense is, if you're practicing meditation or doing your daily devotional, whatever it is you do, diffuse one of these oils, and then also take some frankincense and rub it on your temples. And it's actually medicinal in the way it can actually relieve head tension, but it allows you to kind of relax and get into maybe that deeper level of subconsciousness that you need to be in to connect spiritually. And Roman chamomile is a very interesting oil related to this. I just recently gotten on the Roman chamomile bandwagon because for a long time doTERRA was out of it, and then they got a shipment back end of it because they found, you know, another source for it. They're very big on sourcing where the plant grows indigenously, and it comes from a flower. And this was actually used during ancient times. It's a daisy-like flower. It's a very beautiful little flower, and it smells almost like apples. It has this very kind of pungent aroma, and they steam distill it from the flowers. And it was used in the ancient Romans and the ancient times to actually help with courage in battle. And it has very, very high levels of esters. And so it has actually 4 main chemical constituents, but it actually is very, very healing, known to be very, very calming to the mind, and it smells very different than the sandalwood and frankincense. Those are very musky, kind of heavy odors, and the Roman chamomile is a little bit more of a pungent aroma. So this would be a great oil to use topically or diffusing when you're doing your daily meditative practice. And believe it or not, if you're drawn to one of these oils, you will find yourself actually craving that spiritual connection if you have a time period in the day when you do it, because you're actually wanting that oil. And it's kind of interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that. They're like, I so look forward now to my meditation or my mindfulness practice that I do because I'm obsessed with frankincense and I can't wait to use it. And so that's kind of an interesting phenomenon that happens for people. Okay, so moving on to emotional connection. And y'all, this was hard. There's some guides that we have in an emotional book related to oils for emotional connection, but there are so many oils that you can use for emotional connection. This is a whole 2-hour webinar in itself. So just know we're just barely touching the tip of the iceberg here. And emotional connection, remember what we talked about, is really feeling your feelings, feeling your emotions, adding validity to them, helping pull them out if you need to. And so vetiver is a really well-known oil. It comes from a grass in Haiti. It does have a very musky kind of, if you smell it in the bottle, it smells grassy, but if you diffuse it, it actually smells kind of powdery. To me, it smells like baby powder. And it's actually known as the liquid tranquilizer of oils. So it's very sedating. I use it at night for sleep. But the way that this helps you connect emotionally, especially if you have a hard time feeling and actually, if you are a pusher away of emotions, if you are a person that when you feel a certain emotion, you just do not want to go there, this is a great oil to use because it calms the senses, it relaxes you, and takes away some of that inhibition of fear, really, and just kind of calms your nervous system in a way that you can kind of experience that emotion. We all know that bottling emotions is bad. We have got to connect emotionally every day with how we feel. Geranium is an interesting oil because it comes from a flower. You guys have all heard of geraniums. And it's a wonderful, wonderful medicinal oil, but it has a very different smell than vetiver. And this is kind of where some of your trial and error comes in with connecting emotionally, right? So this would be a wonderful oil to diffuse if you just feel disconnected completely, right? You just feel flat and you don't feel connected at all with your emotions and you can't muster the ability to connect with them. It's more of an uplifting oil. So fantastic for that if the vetiver for you just feels too sedating. The geranium is going to be more uplifting one and is known to connect you. So, and it's actually known to be a wonderful oil if you have had heartbreak in the past. It's also known to be a fantastic oil for bonding between parents and children and helping with that emotional connection. So I can actually recommend this for mothers that have had bonding issues with their children. to use topically or aromatically. Cedar wood is a tree oil, so it comes from a tree, from the bark of a tree. It definitely smells like a tree, but it's also known for its calming properties. I love to use this one also at night for sleep. So I actually recommend this a lot for people that don't love sweet smelling oils, or for men. So this is a fantastic oil. Again, the way this is working is actually kind of calming the nervous system, allowing you to feel. So really you have to kind of figure out where you are emotionally to kind of determine which oil you need. And the last one I want to talk about relating to emotional connection is elevation. And that's because this has been such a powerful oil in my life. And for so many people that I've consulted with, I have seen this oil evoke so many incredible emotions in people, and just help them get connected with what they're really feeling. And it has lavandin, which is actually a cousin of lavender, tangerine, it has lavender oil, amorous bark oil, clary sage, ylang ylang, hoe wood, osmanthus, lemon myrtle, and melissa. Melissa is a very expensive prized oil. And I can just tell you this, when I need to connect emotionally, as far as being uplifted, as far as remembering those positive emotions that I need to have, this is the oil that I go to every time. It's fantastic to diffuse. You can certainly use it topically, but I love to put it in a necklace around my neck and wear it so I'm smelling it throughout the day. This is like my uplifting perfume. It's just a fantastic oil that helps me connect with more positive emotions. And so I kind of tell people, when you're needing to connect with negative emotions, we need to do that, right? That you want to go to more of these kind of vetiver cedar woods of the oils that are going to help you calm and receive it. And that when you need to connect into a more positive emotion, geranium and elevation are going to be better options for you. Okay, so moving on to mental connection. Mental connection is all about clarity, okay? It's all about clarity and focus and feeling connected intellectually. So this is super important, right, for those of us in our jobs. I know sometimes I joke with my husband that I feel not mentally connected sometimes, because when you live with toddlers, you're kind of living in a mental institution, right? Nobody is really sane, and no one's really having, they're not having good decisions, right? They can't make good decisions. Their minds are not developed enough to be rational. So lots of irrational behavior. And I remember telling my husband, I mean, sometimes I just need intellectual connection with you. Like I need to, I don't know, talk about something super intellectual. And so it's kind of funny. I was feeling that this morning, actually. And so when I came to set up to do some more preparation for this webinar, I just put in my diffuser this morning, actually put rosemary, basil, and peppermint. And y'all, I don't know if I've ever used those three before. It's a really powerful, amazing oil. And so I was working this morning and just was, I felt so connected to the content. I just felt tuned in. It was fantastic. So rosemary, we'll just talk about those. Rosemary and basil. Basil is very well known to help with focus. You'll be surprised when you smell this basil oil. It's a little bit different than when you actually smell the plant. And so it has that kind of very leafy smell, smells directly like a plant. And then rosemary has been proven to assist with memory retention. So fantastic for helping convert that short-term memory to long-term memory. Cardamom is actually very well known to helping you connect and actually release anger emotions. But cardamom is a great oil for mental clarity, they call it, for just kind of clearing out the junk in your mind and having just a clear picture. It helps you with clarity. Lemon is known to be a very purifying oil, a very uplifting oil, very cleansing, and it just brightens the senses. So I challenge anyone to walk into a room that's diffusing lemon and not absolutely love it. It's just one of these oils. It's just very simple. It's very pure. It helps open the senses and allows your brain to function better. And this is scientifically proven. We don't even have to say this anecdotally, even though I've seen this time and time again, using oils for people in school settings and for people that are studying and for focus. lemon essential oil is it is very well known for just providing that uplifting, opening the mind, receiving and performing better, basically intellectually, and connecting the dots more. So this is proven scientifically. When you smell these smells, your brain actually functions better, and that you actually alert areas in your brain and open up areas in your brain that seem dormant. I mean, they've proven this in PET scans. So I'll tell people all the time, if you want to be more mentally connected, the most important thing you can do with these oils and with so many other oils actually is diffuse them in your workspace. It's a fantastic way to promote focus and clarity. Okay, physical connection. And this actually probably will be at some point its whole other webinar, because as I started to dive into this, it was really hard for me not to go down the path of physical sexual connection, because that is such a big topic and you can use so many different oils for that. And I had to restrain myself a little bit because I was like reading some stuff and I was like, wow, this is so cool. This is so interesting to promote like healthy sexual physical connections. So I'll restrain myself on that, and we'll just talk about your body for right now and you getting connected to your own body rather than you connecting your body with someone else. But this is just being in tune with your body, how it feels, and the touch sensations throughout the day that we have. So it's very, very well known that tree oils are very, very grounding. Their chemical constituents are such that they function in the brain in a grounding way to help ground us to our body and to ground us to the actual earth, right? Tree oils are grounded to the earth. So the Balance Blend is a really, really powerful blend. Spruce leaf oil, hoe wood oil, frankincense, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and osmanthus. And it has a very, very mild scent, but you can smell the tree oils. So I always tell people to rub this over their heart, especially if physically they're dulling themselves or dulling symptoms in their life, but to rub this over their heart and their temples. Patchouli is a beautiful oil that comes from a plant in the mint family. It's known to be a grounding oil. It's known to ground you physically. And what I tell people to do when you're looking for a better physical connection is to really have mindfulness moments, right? And mindfulness is very different than meditation. So meditation, connecting spiritually, mindfulness is sometimes just doing body scans. So I love to tell people to do body scans with these oils. My husband and I kind of did this the other day as we were prepping, and you just sit in a chair and you feel your feet on the ground. You can either diffuse or put these oils on topically, smell the oil, but start to feel everything. Feel your bottom in the chair, feel your feet on the ground. Feel what it feels like on your legs to rub your legs, and just scan your body from feet to head and really start to make yourself very aware. And I'm telling you, you do this every day. And I did this with a coach last year and started doing it, and it was very powerful. We did a body scan every time before we got started. And I started to just kind of become aware of, okay, wow, that shoulder is actually kind of sore back there, and I never even noticed it was sore. And so believe it or not, but smelling these oils opens up the mind-body connection and allows you to feel things that you may not normally feel in your body, and doing a body scan with that. And I added the Forgive blend in because this is another oil that actually just has tree oils in it. My husband actually uses this as his cologne. It has this very manly, earthly scent. It's already diluted in fractionated coconut oil, but it's got spruce leaf, juniper berry, arbor vitae, nootka tree, thyme, and citronella. So some fantastic herbs and tree oils that are known to be very grounding. So I actually use this. I'm very drawn to this oil. And I love to actually use this oil post-workout, along with another oil called Deep Blue, but to actually make me very aware of my body so I can feel, and y'all, I have worked in medicine for a very long time. People not being physically connected to their body literally can mean you ignoring symptoms that could lead to your death related to a disease process. So I cannot stress how important it is for you to be physically connected. And when we ignore symptoms in our body, ignore things in our body, and we don't pay attention to them, This is literally the difference between you ignoring something that could be something that needs to be taken care of. So doing that practice of doing body scans every day and using oils to do that can really, really help with that. So that's the last section we're going to talk about. And if you guys are ready to get more connected on your essential oil journey, you can definitely reach out to Heidi. Heidi knows how to get you started too, because we work together. But you can also email me at eliza@theorganicsouth.com. You can visit my website, theorganicsouth.com. I love to set up consultations with people so we can kind of personally tailor it to your life and your needs and what's going on with you. And so that is our connection webinar today. I'm going to try and escape out of this, see if I can see all your beautiful faces again. Can y'all see me now? Okay, awesome. So that is getting connected on this Friday. And I want to unmute everybody because if you guys have any questions, I would love for you to ask them now. So I'm going to unmute. Well, I'll do this. I'll mute you guys all so it's not too loud. And then unmute yourself if you have a question or a thought.
Eliza, first of all, thank you. That was so great. But I just wanted to kind of echo your comments around using oils in ways that you have previously not thought of before. And as you were talking about this, I was like, it's like having your own psychotropic drugs that are readily accessible, inexpensive, without other side effects. And having worked in behavioral health for so long, you know, our reflexes, there's a prescription for that. There's a prescription.
Absolutely.
We're running to the pharmacy for everything. And it gives me goosebumps because it makes me so excited to think, you know what, when I'm having an issue with forgiveness or with really just kind of numbing my body out. Exactly. If I'm numbing myself out, how can I reconnect and just some basic principles? So it makes me so excited whenever I think about that because I understand that we have options, and you're right. God has given us everything that we need in order to heal our mind, body, and spirit. So just good stuff.
It's so true. And I can say this, that Heidi knows this about me because I was in the medical world. I was obsessed with, and just so y'all know this, like, you know, the FDA doesn't allow us to talk about oils in a medicinal fashion. Okay. So like compliance is a really, really difficult thing for me because I know scientific studies about different things. And I'm like, you can't censor science. You can't censor that science. But you know, we have to be respectful of that regardless. That's a regulatory board. But, you know, I always tell people that it is, for me, I was so interested in the medicinal components of oils and how they function medicinally in our body that I kind of laughed at the emotional piece for a long time. And Heidi is a testifier to this, that now I'm like obsessed with it. I mean, like, you know, people know I just carry oils with me everywhere. And my husband knows, like, I'll walk into the mud room and I'm like, he's like, oh, I pissed you off, didn't I? And I'm like, it's all right. I love you. I love you. And I'm not ignoring that emotion, right? But I'm just like, okay, I need to put that emotion in a healthy place, right? I can be angry and I can respond negatively, right? Which will catapult things. Or I can do this and I can say, okay, that like really made me angry, but I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to freak out about that. I'm going to, so he knows all the time. I mean, with my kids, you know, it's like I have a regimen of walking into the mudroom and doing balance on my temples. I call that the mommy oil. Don't kill your kids oil, the balance blend. It's like the don't try not to kill your children today blend. But it's so powerful. And I promise you, I know in the beginning for people that this is maybe your first time hearing about it, they're like, yeah, hocus pocus. I was the same way. I was like, that's funny. Keep taking your Zoloft. And, you know, we'll talk another time about something else, you know, but it's been so powerful. And I've worked with so many people that have been able to, and y'all, I believe in modern medicine and the marriage of that, of alternative and modern medicine. But I think the pendulum is swinging back the other way from a wellness standpoint, because we are seeing so many deaths every year from pharmaceuticals. Okay. And people talk about essential oils and their safety. And I'm like, 0 deaths last year, but we had over 150,000 deaths from pharmaceutical agents. That's just facts. I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying. So we have to revisit what we're doing to our bodies. We have to. Because everything that we do, stress it all, y'all, my goal is for everyone to have longevity and to not end up in the ICU. I work there. You don't want to be there. We do bad things to people. And your stress and your emotions and how you deal with every aspect of wellness all contributes to your physicality. So
I just learned that one of my college friends committed suicide this week.
Oh, no.
An attorney, beautiful person, just, great. And it just reminds me once again how important it is that we take care of our emotional health, because it is a mind, body, spirit. And so when you add up the total deaths of, things going wrong from a pharmaceutical perspective, and then depression and suicide, it gets crazy. It's crazy.
Astronomical.
It is. All right, guys, does anybody else have any questions, thoughts?
Allie, you have one. I'm going to unmute you, okay? Let me see. Did you unmute? Found it? Okay, good. She was raising her hand.
Is it possible to be allergic to the essential oils?
So a great question. So is it possible? Yes. It is highly unlikely because typically the things that cause allergies have proteins in them, have larger molecules, and that's what triggers that allergic reaction. And essential oils don't have those constituents in them because it's just the oil from the plant. But it is certainly possible to have a sensitivity to them. So like I've had people that were actually allergic to, I had one lady that was allergic to grasses. And when she smelled lemongrass, she would actually have some side effects from that. So it's not impossible, okay, but it's very, very unlikely. And I tell people this, like if you're allergic to grasses or certain flowers or certain fruits, to do a skin test first before you use an oil. Because ironically, remember this, everything that touches your skin gets into your bloodstream. I always tell people, ladies, do not put anything on your skin that you would not eat because you're receiving that toxin in your bloodstream. So for oils, though, when you inhale them, you're actually getting 50 to 70% bioavailability to the body, okay? So you're actually receiving more of that. So I tell people, if you're leery, do a little skin test, see how your body receives that first before you start to do inhalation. And the cool thing is with doTERRA that if you have a reaction or a problem with the oil, you can send it back and they'll give you your money back, no problem.
My son has a lot of allergies, and I use the essential oils to help him with his nasal passages.
Yes.
And kind of the asthma, and he's allergic to like everything. He's allergic to 6 different blades of grass. So my daughter is what's confusing me. I use oils like oregano oil, and that's the one that you can digest when they are coming on with something,
yes,
bug or something. But I've noticed every time I give my youngest daughter, who's 5, oil of oregano, she breaks out on her eyelids.
Okay, so how are you giving it to her?
I dilute it with lemon juice and a little bit of coconut oil, just a few drops. And I only get, because the instructions say use 4 drops for adults and 2 drops for children. So I use 1 drop for her, and she still reacts.
Yeah, you know why? So she's not having a reaction to it. She's sensitive to it because oregano is an extremely, extremely hot oil. And if I rub 2 drops even on my skin, even diluted, I will get like a red looking rash. Does it itch?
Yes, it's red and it's on her eyelids.
Raised bumps?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, you got to dilute it more. So what you need to do is, and it also depends on the brand you're using. I tell people, like, this is just as important as pharmaceuticals. Like, you can't, like, just order your stuff online. Like, you have to make sure that the testing they do on the oil is the same testing that you would want done on your pharmaceuticals, right? Like, no pesticides, no heavy metals, that kind of stuff. So that's number 1, is I would investigate the company you're using. And then number 2, oregano is an extremely powerful hot oil. So for her, it should not be used internally because she's too young. But when you do it topically, I definitely would never do it on her eyes because that's such a sensitive area. But when you're wanting that systemic effect, because it's so awesome for the immune system, especially if you're feeling sick, you are right on with that. Do it on her feet. But then do this. Take 1 drop for her and dilute it. And I would probably do like a tablespoon, which is a normal kind of baby spoon, but I would do that just because it's a hot oil. So if you just back off on how much you're using, I think you won't see that anymore. Does she complain that it burns?
Yes, I was burning a diffuser lemongrass the other day, and she just started crying, and she kept saying my eyes hurt, they itch. But I was only burning it in my bedroom, and her bedroom is upstairs, and it was still bothering her.
She just is probably sensitive too. I mean, I have some people that when they smell oil, they can taste it, and they're just so sensitive. And she's young, so her body processes oils differently. And so you just probably, I mean, keep using oils on her. Most people would be afraid of that. This is fantastic for her health, but just probably cut back on her, especially what you put on her topically and maybe in her diffuser.
Okay.
But don't be afraid. That's not an allergic reaction for her.
I was afraid because I'm like, if this is here on the earth and it's supposed to, heal us, then how is that possible? And of course, the doctor, the pediatrician, told me that she's allergic to it and I should stop using it.
They don't know. They don't know. And I have to tell you this because I'm part of that world. I had a pulmonologist tell one of my clients not to use oils because it'll give them a reaction in their lungs. And I'm like, he's talking about like oils, other like saturated oils that they inhale. These readily absorb into your cells. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's okay. It doesn't mean they're not a good doctor. It's just they're not educated on this alternative piece. So don't be afraid and do this. Like I would do this just to double check. Like I would put 1 drop in a tablespoon, mix it up nicely, eliminate the lemon juice part because you don't need that. And just do a skin test on her arm. And if the same thing happens, then you're going to use 1 drop in 2 tablespoons. Okay. Usually when you see that, and people always think that in the beginning, it's allergic, and like, nope, you just use too much oil, and people just forget how powerful they are. So think about this. That drop of oregano oil is 50 to 70 times more potent than if you just rub some oregano leaves on her body.
Wow. Okay. Well, that explains everything. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You guys, was this a good lunchtime? Does everybody feel so excited this weekend to like connect in some way?
Hello?
All 4 ways.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
No? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, this is Ann Phillips.
Hi, Ian.
How are you?
Great.
So two things. Love the session and have a couple of friends having big birthdays. Don't want a guy buying something material big. So this seems like the perfect thing. So being mindful like this. However, they both have pets.
Yes.
How do these oils affect pets?
Do you know if they have
cats? Kind of crazy, so it might do it some good. Dogs.
Okay, so dogs are easier than cats. Cats tend to be a little funky with essential oils, even though you can use them. But I tell people, so some tree oils, dogs can be toxic for dogs. Okay, this is not like, not like if you diffuse it, it's going to be fine. I mean, like if they ingest it. So I tell people to treat these like you would medications and keep them, away from your kids and your animals. I mean, trust me, I had to keep my 2-year-old daughter like from climbing to get my oils all the time because she's obsessed with them. But it's completely safe for animals if they're diffusing for themselves or they're putting them on topically. In fact, a lot of people that I work with use their bug repellent blend, essential oil blend for their animals for fleas and ticks. But yeah, you're right. It's a super unique gift. All I do now is gift people essential oils. I know that they're getting essential oils from me. If they're getting a gift from me usually. But yeah, it's a great option to do that for, and you're welcome to just email me and I'll be happy to help you, especially we can kind of talk about them and tailor it to their needs. But yeah, completely safe. In fact, lavender is very well known to be great for dogs and calming them. Lavender and wild orange, and I actually have a whole it's like a handout on how to use the oils in your dogs if people so choose to. But a great question. Okay, if nobody else has any questions, I feel like fun lunchtime. Normally we do this at night, but lunchtime is kind of cool, right? I love lunchtime learning.
Yes.
Especially if you're at work today and you're like, I'm going to take my lunch break.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I thank you so much. Please, let's give Eliza Sensational your love and Juju.
Thank you. So glad to see all your beautiful faces.
So totally amazing. I am Heidi Day. I am your trauma conqueror, soul healer, and transformation coach for badass women, just like you guys who want to feel as good as you look. And we will make this recording available because I know there was a lot of information that you received and you may want to kind of go back and listen to that again. Some of you will have already messaged me about that. And I hope, and Eliza and I are both in concert, are hoping that you create an amazing and magnificent weekend. Until next time, guys, we'll see ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.